Yo, Narek, Green Bay faithful, talking with me on a chase to a Super Bowl. Bands still suck, let me let you know. With the kids bringing trophies home, cheeseheads me living this. Victory tastes sweeter than licorice. Got that Lamborghini spirit. Opponents just fear it. Y'all can hear it now.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This is the Matt Ramage Show. I'm your host, Matt Ramage. Makes sense, doesn't it? But we have a great guest today. We're talking to the Northern Nerd. He is, that's his name. I didn't give it to him. He is a teacher. He does Packers content. He does all types of different types of content surrounding Wisconsin. He's a great dude. He's been on the Green Bay Guys podcast, many more, and he has his own that he does every now and again. So be sure to check that out. We'll talk about that during the podcast. But before we start talking to my man Dalton, his real name, because I'm not going to call him the Northern Nerd, because that's bullying. All right, people. No, but a big shout out to Quick Trip, big shout out to Nicolay Law being great sponsors of the Matt Ramage Show. If you are headed to a game this season, Quick Trip is the spot you need to stop at. They have all the ice. They have the cheese curds. They got the brats. They got all the stuff that you're going to need to tailgate. And they're just a fantastic establishment. And when, you go to a bathroom at a gas station, just driving down the highway, trying to go on a vacation or whatnot, they get a little sketchy in there. But Quick Trip's always got a clean bathroom. They got the hookup, and they're giving away money every week. Be sure that you're checking out the Quick Rewards app, win all types of stuff. I'm just happy just getting my free chocolate milk every now and again. You know what I mean? So big shout out to Quick Trip. Be sure that you're hammering away at that Quick Rewards app. And also Nicolay Law, if you get injured in a car accident, get injured, you're out of work, Nicolay Law is going to take care of that for you. You don't have to deal with the insurance companies and whatnot, because the insurance companies are going to try to get you. They're going to try to spend the least amount of money they got. But Nicolay Law ain't going to let that happen, baby. If you're out of work and you can't pay your bills, that's a serious situation. Nicolay Law is going to help you take care of that. And they're just real people. They're not uppity lawyer folk. They are real people, and they're good at what they do. So let them help you. Hopefully you don't need them, but if you do, nicolaylaw.com. Here we go. Let's bring in the guest, baby. What's up, Dalton? How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. How are you? Training camp is pretty close, so I'm getting excited.
Dude, I am getting excited. Yeah, dude, this is the time of the off season where I hate. Not a lot going on. The people who see my content probably see it because I'm starting to do the eye jokes again. You can always tell because the eye jokes, like how when I first started doing videos, besides like when I first started doing videos on Vine back in the day, they were all like the eye jokes, just being goofy, and that's what's fun. I like the Packers stuff. Obviously, I'm passionate about the Packers, but no one ever asked me about my Jordan Love takes. They always ask me at work, like, what was that video about? What was that? You know what I mean? So,
right.
Yeah, but how you been? And first of all, like, good to talk to you. I mean, we met the draft. That was the first time we talked for a little bit. But other than that, we haven't met. So how's this off season treating you?
It's been pretty good. It's nice having the teacher schedule and everything to get to be able to enjoy the summer a little bit more. So my wife and I took a little vacation. We went over to Norway, which was the first time I've ever been international. And one way that I tried to make friends easily was I wore my Packers sweatshirt. I was like, I'm going to find my people right away. We can talk Packers football, whether it's on the plane or just randomly at dinner with somebody. Like, I like to make those instant kind of connections. So, but it's been a good summer so far.
So did a lot of people say, well, go Pack, go, because Packer fans are everywhere.
Yeah, they are. I kind of wanted to put that theory to the test. And yeah, there was a lot of people that would say, go Pack, go. I didn't hear one single Skol chant while I was in Norway, and they have the Viking Museum there. I didn't hear one Skol chant. So just wanted to say.
Yeah, Minnesotans don't travel well. And I don't think that real Vikings respect Minnesota Vikings, because I feel like that's like stolen valor. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in a way, because like the Vikings, they stole the whole thing from a soccer team. They do the whole Skol thing. And I actually talked to someone from, I think it's Norwegian, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Viking thing. You're like, you're smart. And being a teacher. And I talked to someone from there, and they said that like what they do isn't even accurate. Like the whole like skull means. I think it. Do you know what skull means? The actual definition. 'Cause I think he said that it means that like after you lose or after a battle or something.
Okay.
I don't think it was what they think. I might be wrong. You
Yeah,
might
more
have
of
to.
like a rallying cry or something like that.
Yeah, I think he was saying it wasn't used in the way that they use it. People can Google that. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just talking. I've been drinking. But we're gonna talk. I want to find out how, because you do content. You're a teacher. You do content in the classroom, but you don't show the students, obviously.
Right.
Obviously, you do a lot of content outside of that. So let me ask you this first: like, how does that work? Like, do ever the students' parents, has anyone ever like talked to you about the content? Because obviously you're not showing the kids, but has that ever been like a discussion where they're like, you know, because cameras or whatever with kids. Is that
Right. Um, no, it hasn't been an issue at all or anything. I made sure like I talked to my administration first before I even started doing like my Packers spelling test or things like that. And he was like, Yes, I mean it's on a Friday, the last like 5 minutes of the day, so it's really not eating into your core class. Now, if I was doing that like the whole day, yeah, there.
Yeah, you're like live streaming it,
right?
Hey, thanks for the sub, dude.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Then we'd have some problems. But this this what I was doing with the Packers spelling test and everything like that, got the clearance on. A lot of parents will actually joke. They're like, well, my son or daughter was a Bears fan or was a Vikings fan until they came into your class, and now it's Christmas time and they're asking for Packers gear. I was like, my job here is done. That's that's what I do, folks.
Has any parents ever been like upset? Because like if my son went to school, came back like a Vikings fan, like I'm taking him out of that school. Like that, like you're not teaching him what I want him to learn.
Right. Nothing like seriously or anything. But it has been something that comes up like during parent teacher conferences and stuff, but in a funny way. So it's something that I really enjoy doing, and the kids like doing it. Look forward to the different Packers players' names and everything like that that they get tested on. So it's a fun part of the season.
Yeah, that's all. I remember like my younger son, he didn't like to be like everyone else. So he was like, he'd always try to pick different teams. Like if he had a favorite player, like RG3 was
Mhm.
his favorite player back when he got drafted. So he became a Washington fan. And he had this at the time, it was Redskins. He had a Washington hat. And I remember like his coach was like, what's going on? Why is he wearing Washington hat? Like, and I was like, dude, I tried to hide this thing.
Yeah,
Like I literally took the hat when he left it out. I took it, I hid it, I didn't throw it away because
he
I'm not a
keeps finding
maniac.
it. Yeah.
But like, and he was like crying. He was like, "Where's my hat?" And he got so upset. We're like, "Oh, I found it." Because I'm not gonna. 'Cause I do feel like kids should be able to choose their own teams, but
Mhm.
also, but not in my house. Other people's houses.
Right,
But
right.
he's a Packer fan now. But he kind of bounced around because like some kids just like to be different.
Mhm.
So everyone in the house is a Packer fan or whatever Giants fan. One kid's got to be like, nah,
Right.
I got to step up. But then at the end of the day, he's not he was an RG3 fan. He bounced around to the Chargers, but I would watch Packer games with him, and even like talking about the Packers with him. You could tell that he cares. He loves the Packers. But yeah. So that would get me if the teacher, you got that cool hip teacher
Yeah.
trying to convert my kid to be like a Vikings fan or something. Like, obviously, I wouldn't get crazy with it, but I would definitely say something. I wouldn't, at parent teacher conference, like a joke. I
Right.
wouldn't go on there and like, throw hands or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I need to see you in the hallway now.
First
It's
of all,
third
my hand.
period. What's going on?
No, I got beat up enough in school. I don't need to get beat up by a teacher now. You know what I mean? So would you say you're a second grade teacher?
Yeah. Yep. Teach second grade.
So second grade, that was a good grade for me. Third grade was too long. I did it twice. You know what I mean? How do you fail? How do you fail like a second or third grade? I mean, I don't mean like professionally, because I'm not trying to but like, what do you think was wrong with me?
Oh
To-
man. I don't know.
Why did they do that to me? Because I don't that
What did you have I don't know. Did you have a hard time reading?
no, I think it was math. maybe because like I switched schools a lot back in the day,
Okay.
and so like when you switch schools a lot, like you know this, like when you
Mhm.
get to the next school, they might be further or behind where you
Yeah,
were. Even
that can be tough.
even if it's like 3 or 4 weeks and you learn multiplication.
Mhm.
And like I remember going to one and we were just about to get into multiplication, and then I went to the next school and I was in division, and I was like, bro, I skipped one.
Yeah,
I don't know, I barely know how to add. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But I did third grade twice, and I ain't gonna lie, the second time wasn't any easier than the first time. I remember I was like, I should be smarter than everybody, but I wasn't. But
Did you stay in the same school that second time, the whole second time?
yeah,
Mhm.
for the 2 times in a row.
Okay.
Chegwin, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. I think the teacher just liked me a lot. That's what
Yeah,
my mom
it
told me.
yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I like it.
My mom was like, the teacher just likes you. She wanted to hang out with you a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think she does. But all right. So look, second grade, I feel like that would be like one of the better grades to teach because I feel like the kids, for the most part, are like they're in that goofy stage. They're just having fun all the time. So I feel like it'd be a fun grade. Also, though, very like frustrating because
Yeah,
you can't get them to like calm down. Like that's the calming down part. What's
there's
it
a
like
mixture
teaching
of it.
second grade?
It's it's a lot of fun. Like there's certain times of year that I really look forward to, like when we have homecoming happening in the fall or Halloween or different things leading up to Christmas, like surrounding the holidays, it's a really fun time. Chaotic. I'd say probably the most chaotic time is leading up to Christmas just because you have so many like crafts that we do and then they have their winter sing and everything like that. So and plus the kids are just excited because they have like a countdown to Christmas on the board and everything that we do. So
Yeah.
I'd say that's a difficult time, but a fun time. But I would also say like the students are still super excited to come to school and learn and like, wow, I didn't know that this country had this many people in it, or that's this person in history, like learning about different people, learning how to do 3-digit addition and subtraction is a big thing in second grade and then counting money and stuff like that. So like and also telling time. Like there's a lot of people do like digital clocks and students, I mean, they have an easy time reading that, but going back to the old school like analog clock, the students
Yeah.
once they master that, they feel like geniuses. They're like, "Yeah, Mr. Essel, it is 11:13. I know it by the ticks." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go, bud." So it's a very rewarding grade just because you see so much growth from where they were at the beginning of the school year to where they are at the end of the school year.
It is that what it is for like because teachers um I'm not saying you like I'm not trying to throw you on blast, but like teachers don't make a lot of money. It's not a job people do to get rich. But so like it's passion, right? So like a lot of things. I feel like it's like not to compare anything to veterans, but like people who go and do that job, they're passionate. They want to do something. And I feel like it's the same thing with teachers because but like what is it that it draws people to be teachers? Because like you say, there's not a lot of money, but there's a lot of reward. You're like helping the future and all that. But like so like for you, like what is that? Why did you want to be a teacher and like what do you love about it?
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons why I got into teaching was I just wanted to be somebody's Mr. Feeney, you know, in the show Boy
Yeah.
Meets World. Yeah, I just wanted to have that, like, I don't know, impact on people and on my students, and just like, I don't know, leave that lasting impression. Like, oh, here are some lessons that I learned from Mr. Hustle. Like, he might have been super goofy with how he presented this material, but it's something that stuck with me. Like during my student teaching in college, I like it's kind of like your internship. It's not something that they pay you for, but you work for free for basically a semester. So if there's something they could change about the education field, that'd be one thing to get more people interested. But that's for a different time. But I would say, like during that time, what I did was I was living in my uncle's house in Cameron, Wisconsin, and I would look around his room and say like the guest room and say like, all right, how could I use this board game of Operation to connect to them how hard the writing process is. And so like when you're going through your story and your paragraphs and everything, there's going to be some stuff that you have to take out. And so I would play the board game Operation in front of the class, be like, yep, this is how you take out that. That's a sentence that doesn't belong. or how
All right.
painful it can be. And I scattered a bunch of Legos on the floor of the classroom and walked over them, and I was like, "This is you editing your first draft." And the kids were like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's a psycho," but also this is fun. So I don't know. I think being creative with how you present your material, your students are going to love that. Like even in this past year, we talk about Paul Bunyan and lumberjacks and things. And so one morning after we did our lesson, I brought in my skillet and we made pancakes and just had a good morning together. Everyone wore a flannel and everything. So it was kind of like having our own little lumber camp. So I think education is what you make it. And like you can make it as fun as you want or as boring as you want. And I try to choose to make it as fun as I can each and every time.
Yeah, I go like all the teachers I remember were like doing fun stuff, like get to move the desk. I think moving the desk is like the key
Mhm.
thing. When the desks start moving, oh, like kids like, all right, something about to pop off. Like we're about to have some fun. Cause I remember like teachers would have like games and like they put the desk like in a circle and like you know they would do all types of crazy different games. Um, I think people remember like those teachers. Like, do you have teachers from like when you were a kid, like you remember and like you're like, oh, I want to do it. Like this teacher was great and they did this thing. Do you ever implement something that you learned like from being in school?
Yeah, I would say, well, the cool part of, I don't know, being going back to teach in the small town where I grew up, I got to teach with my second grade teacher. So she's part of like the second grade team. And
All right.
so it was coming back to that was really cool. And then my first grade teacher actually joined the second grade team. So I taught with both my second grade and first grade teacher. So that's just some small town life there. But
Did they remember you? Like, did they remember like teaching you? And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
So it was super cool. It was weird like calling them by their first name in like faculty meetings or just hanging out after school. That took a little getting used to. But I would say, yeah, just how um they made stories fun to listen to, like changed their voice when it came to the different characters and just little things like that, like makes it memorable and try to implement that into my own classroom.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was a little bit of a troubled kid. I did a little bit of chatting in class. I got a little bit of trouble. Nothing crazy,
Mhm.
but I remember those teachers because like obviously in second grade I was probably doing pretty good, but like later on in life, I have certain teachers who it felt like actually helped me like down the road, like even as an adult, where I kind of remember like their teachings. Usually, because at that time I was kind of getting in trouble, and it was more that was scolding me. But like I remember that stuff. But like going back to like going to be like a second grade teacher, like when you go to school, is it any different? Like I'm gonna be a second grade teacher, or I'm gonna be 11th grade teacher, or do you just go to school and then you kind of just find like where you like and you kind of just fit your thing?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. So if you want it, so my certification goes from first grade to eighth grade, and that's like middle childhood, early adolescence. I think MCEA was the acronym, and so it was all like first grade to eighth grade teachers were in that, and then if you wanted to be like a high school teacher, they called that secondary ed. So that
All
was where
right.
they put most of those students. But it's, I
They're
mean,
like
it's
they're like wardens over there. They're like
basically,
prison guard. They're like
yeah.
prison guards.
They're like, you don't need to how to handle a first grade situation or anything. Like, you got to learn how to take a vape away in class or
Yeah,
something.
like how do you break up a fight with two grown people that can beat you down?
Yeah, we're totally different. Yeah, not the same at all.
Oh, that's yeah. I remember high school. I remember seeing a we had an art teacher and he had long hair. This is like back in the '90s, so he was probably like a hippie back in the day before that or whatever. He was a good guy, but he was like the cool teacher. Art teacher's always kind of cool, and these two kids got in a fight and one of them hit him, and then it was just like everyone just paused and waited, and then he just looked at him, and then he like jumped. He didn't beat him up or nothing, but he like tackled him and like took him to the ground. And we were all like, "Yeah, rooting for him, beat him down!" But he didn't. He didn't beat him down. We don't want
Yeah,
no one to get beat down. But but like yeah, like middle school and high school kids, I don't. I know for a fact. Like I don't think I could teach young kids, but I sure couldn't teach middle school and high school kids. I mean, not even teach them. I couldn't get them to like do what I want them to do. Like just sit out. How do you? First of all, how do you do that? How do you control like second grade kids? Like they're all around bugs. Just because like I remember helping my son's baseball team like third grade I was helping a coach a little bit. I was watching practice. He's like, hey, you want to help? I'm like, yeah, for sure. He's like, all right, have the kids just throw this little plastic ball. They'll hit it into the fence and then just keep doing it. You know, a little plastic fake ball. And he
Yeah.
goes, I'm gonna go into the batting cages with the with the other kids who can kind of hit. And then the kids were climbing the fences and he's yelling at me, hey, Ramage, control the kids. I was like, hey, my kid ain't doing nothing, but like, I can't yell at other people's kids. Like, I don't know how to control other people's kids. I know my kid, I just use a certain voice. Hey, shut it down. You know what I mean? And he listens to me, but like, I'm not going to start yelling at other people's kids. Like how do you, first of all, how do you get that gift to like, where you can command all these kids to just calm down and like, what's that about? Teach me this, your sorcery.
Yes. So I would say like early on in the school year, it's just about establishing a lot of routines, like going over it each and every day. And it may seem like it's painstaking to go over the same thing, like, oh, here's where our folders go. This is how we line up for our specials like art and music, FIED, all those different things. This is our voice level when we're getting in line for this. And you have to be like strict with it. So like if you're like right away, and so like if you say like, all right, everybody, let's get in line for art class, and there's like talking right away, and then you leave the classroom while there's talking, well, then they're going to know that that's okay. So it's establishing like, hey, that wasn't quite enough. We need to go, let's try this again. And so just continuing to have those standards high. And as you go throughout the school year, hopefully you've established those enough where you're not constantly fighting a battle, because then that makes it really hard. Like May is just a totally, like the end of the school year is a totally different beast. You can have the best routines established, and by May, like any teacher that has a great system is just tanking. So that's just a totally different thing. But I would say like, yeah, at the beginning of the school year, just being really, I would say, yeah, set those standards high. I had one teacher say, he was a veteran teacher, and he was like, yeah, don't smile till after Christmas. I was like, I don't know if I could do that with second grade, but it's like, but I try not to do as much of like those, I don't know, real extra things until after those routines are established, because then otherwise they're just going to try to take advantage of what they're able to get away with.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of did that. You know, I got away. Dude, I switched schools so much. I remember like being like the coolest kid in the school, and then go to the next school and you're getting like pelted with spitballs in the back of your head. And switching school is tough. So like, I'm not gonna ask you about that because whatever. But do you ever have you got some troubled kids? I don't mean trouble, but like just some chatty boxes. You know what I mean? Like how because I was one of those, so I'm kind of curious. Like because one thing I thought was the most interesting is when my kids got into sports, they were all friends with all their friends on the basketball team, baseball team. Their parents were all teachers. One was a superintendent, and they were all like kind of coaches and like in the school. We're like one of the only ones who weren't. And I was like so like astounded like how normal teachers are.
Yeah.
Like you run into like they wouldn't go to the bar like close to town because like they don't want parents and whatever running into them. And but like they're just normal people. They have barbecues, they drink, they whatever, but they just also teach the youth. And I think everyone's glad that I'm not teaching the youth. You know what I mean? I think everyone took a sigh of relief. I didn't go to college. They're like, no, that's fine. Go make the cheese, bud. But yeah, but talk about that, like how like teachers are just normal people. But like even as an adult, because your mind of teachers, you kind of go back to your youth.
Mhm.
But like teachers are just normal people. They drink beer. You're drinking a beer now. I think as long as the kids ain't around, you're not in the classroom. I think you'll be all right.
Right. Yeah.
But like
On summer schedule.
that's kind of like what it is, though. It's like teachers are regular people.
Mhm. Yeah. I like to announce baseball games in the summertime, or go and have some pizza, or like I know most of the time I see my students either at the baseball field in the summer, just because small town atmosphere and everything, kids are running around with their parents, or the grocery store, or sometimes like we only have like 2,500 people in our town, so everybody pretty much knows everybody. So you see them at the farmers market, or like there's
Grocery
a couple
store,
yeah, or there's like a couple bars on Main Street that you'll see students like grabbing dinner with their family and stuff like that. And then the students the next day will say like, "Oh, I saw you at Anglers last night." And I was like, "Yep." And I was just having a burger with my wife and my daughter. Like,
No, you gotta raise that beer. Cheers, Billy.
yeah, see you in class tomorrow, bud. Like, just like it's college. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be something.
Just all tanked up.
Yeah. That'd be a rough day the next day with
It's all right. No
7-8-year-olds.
second graders are listening to this podcast. You're
Right.
all right.
Yeah. I'm just saying it would be hard to like if you went in the next day and we're feeling it a little bit from the previous night. That'd be hard to have your patient pants
Dude.
on that day.
Dude, that's a good question because I've always wanted to know this. You know, talking to a teacher, I'm telling you, we might never talk about no Packers. No, we will. We're gonna get to the Packers. But what's that like? Like if you're not feeling well, let's say you're not hungover, but you just got a touch or something, you're just not feeling it that day. Do you just wheel that TV in there? Is that thing just waiting like it's in a chamber and you can just put like Apollo 13 on? Or maybe that's a little too advanced for second graders, but like whatever thing. Is that a thing teachers do? They just pull the TV in when they're just not feeling it, or is that just always organized? Be honest.
So yeah, I'll let you in on it. So we have we have smart boards now. So gone are the days. I'm nostalgic too, so I miss the feeling of wheeling it in because all the kids would know.
You don't gotta wheel it in. I didn't think about that.
But I mean, I do remember those days as a kid. Like, yeah, teacher bring it in. It's like, yes, today's a movie day. So now it's really the element of surprise because we just have like our smart boards right next to our whiteboard and everything. So it's like a touchscreen interface. So that's really cool. But yeah, then you just have to like plug in your DVD player too, and then you just watch a DVD. But I would say this, being gone as a teacher is more work than being there. Like creating sub plans and everything like that is actually difficult. I would say, especially in an elementary school setting, because you have a lot of students that might have different things like medication that they need to make sure that they take, or different students that you have to like food allergies, or that they're not able to communicate as well, or they're getting pulled for different like reading intervention or math intervention and things of that nature. So it's a little more complicated to be gone. So like, I don't know. The only reasons I'm really gone are if I'm really sick or if my daughter's sick. But other than that, or if there's a Packers game or something like a Monday Night Football game. But I would say those are really the only reasons I'm gone.
All right, so I'll ask you one more teacher question, then I want to talk to you about some Packers.
Okay.
Dude, can teachers just call in sick, or do you have to like give like a big old advance because they have to get a substitute teacher in there? Like that is one question that popped in my head right now because the sub sometimes is late, so I'm like, did they just call in like because I had to call in a half hour before my shift.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like teachers maybe is there like a limit when you got to call in?
Well, I would say like if you're, I don't know, if you're really feeling like you're not going to make it the next day, you can put in online for a sub, and then it goes to like a portal where they reach out to different people. But if it's like morning of, before the school day starts, like I would say by like 6 o'clock in the morning, we have to let our principal know if that's the case.
Yeah, dude, I call in a lot. I ain't gonna lie to you. I use all those sick days plus the points they give you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so I want to talk to you about, like, first of all, talking about the Packers. We do a lot of Packers kind of like you have spelling bees and whatnot. What are all the games that you do like with your kids, even whether it's on camera or not, associated with the Packers? Because you're a Wisconsin teacher. You're most of your students, I assume, are Packer fans, or at least like their parents are, and they're aware of it. So, like, what are some of the cool stuff that you do for the students surrounded by the Packers?
Yeah. So last year I came up with just doing like a Packers spelling test Friday. And so I would have the students with 5 names that I would give of former Packer players. And the first 4 would be, it would gradually get increased in difficulty. So the first one, let's say it's just their last name. So first one's Green, Amon Green. Second one, Reggie White. Third one would be, I'm trying to think here, Walker or something, or Clark. And then fourth one, well, formerly Jair Alexander, Alexander would be like number 4, but then like the 5th one would be like Gabajabi Amila.
Oh, that's like Don Mikowski or something.
No, yeah, stuff like that. But like the 5th one would just be impossible. And the whole thing behind it was like, I don't know, I wanted the students to like have something fun to look forward to on a Friday, especially a lot of the students being Packer fans and everything. But I also put a thing out there like, all right, well, if anybody gets all 5 of these right, I'll buy tickets, Packer tickets for you and a family member to go to a game kind of deal. And so this year I had a student like towards, it was week like 16, get them all correct. And I got him and his dad to go down to see the Packers and Bears. Now, unfortunately, the Bears finally beat the Packers
That was
that
like,
game.
dude, it's your fault.
It's my fault. I'm taking the blame. It's my fault.
That was like some bad omen. I mean, for them, for the family that you sent over there to watch that misery.
Right. Yeah. That was tough. Tough game. But it was really cool to have that happen. And the student was getting super close each week. He'd get like 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5.
So he was like
Then
studying Packers history and the Packers names.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a ninth grader to study like that.
No. Well, and I couldn't, and it wasn't like I gave them the words like on the Monday and say like, hey, study these, and we have a test on Friday with them. They were just getting them
They didn't know.
that day. Yeah. So,
You're talking about Packer tickets. Dad's over there like, come on, focus.
right.
Don Mikowski, how many vowels?
Like they
Gotta
get to,
get this right.
it's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? They get to phone a friend, use one of their
Yeah.
lifelines. Dad, the 5th
Can you
word is Ashwaubenon. Help.
Dude, that should be what you do next year when you do this Packers stuff. Get a real hard one, like even like Mikowski. I feel like most people don't know how to spell Mikowski.
No, that'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think I have his name over here somewhere. I could probably copy, but like they had to phone a friend. They're like the word is Mikowski. They'd be googling though. They'd be like, they're gonna cheat. So you probably can't do that. But so what made you think of that? And how do you think of like different games to keep these kids like engaged, especially when it comes like to like Packers stuff?
Yeah. I don't know. It was just something that just kind of randomly came to me. I wanted to do a Packers spelling test with them. Yeah, just kind of, I mean, we already do spelling tests on Friday to begin with. So I was like, whoa, what if
Yeah.
we did one with Packer players and just kind of make it fun? But then I also did like little tailgate parties with the students throughout the year. So I would make like little smokies or try to find a crock pot recipe. I have like a green and gold crock pot from, well, Presto sent it to me once they found out I was doing like these Packers spelling tests. Like, how about you do tailgate parties? So then I started like whipping up different recipes, and then we had watched like old Packer highlights from the week before, and then we did one with the Super Bowl this year as well. So that was a lot of fun to just try to, I don't know, work the game of football naturally into the classroom, not kind of make it like above reading and writing and math or anything, but kind of have it be like a supplementary thing that the students were excited about. And it was something that they would bring up too, like, oh, Mr. Russell, are we having this on Friday? And just asking about it, and different ways we could do stuff. So it was a lot of fun to do. And this class like took it and ran with it and had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, and I think just using like the player's name, because it doesn't really matter what words they're spelling. I mean, they're all like the kind of the same, type of words. So if you're using, last names like Green, White, like, those are the words that you want to kind of teach them anyways, or like different words. So I think that's genius, and I think it makes it more fun. And you're building Packer fans, so you're doing God's work, is what you're doing.
Right. Exactly. That's what I try. That's what I'm trying to do each day, man.
All right, so let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. All right, so are you born and raised in Wisconsin, I assume?
Yeah. Yep. Born and raised in Hayward, Wisconsin. So up north.
So is that how you became a Packer fan? Like your family, they're all cheeseheads?
Yeah. But here's the tough part. We're so
All right.
far north, we're closer to like Duluth, Minnesota. And so if the Packers and Vikings are playing at the same time, they play the Vikings game.
Dude,
And
that's like,
that is hard.
I've heard a lot of people say this, that who like kind of live in that towards the border. I think, dude, that's criminal.
I live in Wisconsin. I should be able to watch the Packers.
Yeah. I know that there's like the whole TV thing, the wires go across the border or whatnot, but like, dude, it should be on the border. If you live in Wisconsin, you should not have to suffer through a Vikings game while the Packers are playing.
Right.
That is just
Well,
un-American.
And to make things more interesting, my wife is a Vikings fan, so she's a fan of it when that happens. But you know, that's real love right there. I married a Vikings fan.
How did that happen? Like, because like my wife's a Packer fan. I know that people like get married and like, hey, divided family. I couldn't. I did if the Packers are playing the Vikings and someone in my house starts cheering for the Vikings, like obviously if it's your wife, she gets a pass. But like everyone else is getting booted out. Like you got to go. But yeah. So how does that work? How do you? I mean, obviously it's all fun, but like, how do you guys get through that?
She really does. I mean, like she's more of a casual Vikings fan, unless the Vikings are playing the Packers. Yeah, right. But you're gonna get me in trouble.
Unreal. Hey, shout out to your wife, though.
Yes.
Ain't no disrespect. Just towards the Vikings.
Right. But then she'll get into it a little bit more when the Packers are playing the Vikings, like, and plus now having our daughter and everything, what she wears, like we have both a Packers onesie and a Vikings onesie. So what she wears like to bed that night is dependent on if the Packers win or if the Vikings win. So that's kind of like our bet that we have.
Here's what I would say. If your wife will let me intervene in the wardrobe for the child, I say during the day the child wears Packers. At night they can crap all over the Vikings. Because when kids wake up, I don't know how old your daughter is, but
yeah, she'll be 2 in August, so still in those stages. Yeah,
yeah, because they
get 14.
They get messy in those onesies at night. So I would say put the old Vikings diaper on, let her crap all over that thing, and then let her wear the represent the green and yellow during the day for when she wants to be pretty.
Right. Well, especially when we're going out on the town or going to church or stuff like that. Like, yeah, let them see the green and gold. So,
do you guys ever fight about that? Like, if you're going to like family or like an event, and like what apparel the child wears? Not like fight, like not like you're gonna argue, like it's gonna be a real argument. But like, you guys ever like? Who gives up first? That's a better question.
I would say she does, but she kind of knows I'm the more passionate fan. So, yeah, it's kind of one of those deals. So
you think that when your daughters say 14, 15, who is she choosing to root for?
She'll probably end up going neutral and be like a Lions or a Bears fan, just so
independent.
Keep the peace. Yeah. But if I don't know, I feel like she watches some baseball with me right now, so I feel like I'm having a lot of fun teaching her baseball. And then when she's old or when she can understand football as well, that'll just be a lot of fun to teach her about the game too. So I'm hoping through that coaching that she becomes a Packers fan.
You got it. You got it.
Thanks, man.
I have faith. You know what I mean? So is she getting into baseball pretty good? Like she like it?
She likes watching it. We went to a St. Paul Saints game in the Twin Cities last week, and she liked all this stuff happening. And then I'll put on like the Brewers game every now and then, and she can say baseball, and then so we don't have like a TV in our living room. We just have it in my wife and I's bedroom. And she'll just, whenever she goes in there, she goes, baseball. So she wants to watch baseball all the time now. So I'm like, yes, crack the code.
That's awesome. You don't have a TV in your living room?
No, we she wanted to. We went through a phase where we watched like Bluey, like a couple episodes, and then we'd try to put her down to bed. And then it became like she wouldn't go down to bed because she wanted to keep watching Bluey. And it was like, all right, well, this is where the rubbers meet in the road. We're just going to take the TV out of the living room. And so this isn't an issue. And it hasn't really been since. And that's going on like when it's probably been since the end of football season. So yeah, it's been working.
So you guys just live in that room.
Yeah, that is our true living room. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think since the TV was invented, it wasn't a living room.
Yeah,
It
we're
was
just sitting around a radio right now. Just like, yeah. Mhm.
just
Using
talking,
Yeah, just talking.
just getting just saying what you got on your mind.
Yeah.
I should try that. You know what I mean?
In
My
the
wife
off
has
season,
a-
it's not bad.
Yeah, my wife doesn't want to talk to me. She's like, turn the TV on. What's going on? All right, so let's talk about. All right, so how old are you?
I'm 29. I'll be 30 in August.
See, you're a young fella. So like, what is your first memory of the Packers? Whether it be a game or like family, what is your like kind of first memory of the Green Bay Packers?
I would say first memory would be watching the Packers beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl on VHS.
On VHS,
Yes, it was a recording. It was a recording. Whenever I
dude.
went over to my
What year were you born?
95.
Oh my goodness! All right, I didn't mean to cut you off. So
No, you're all good. So
Lem-
whenever my grandma would babysit us, she would have like all of her cassettes, right? All of her VHS cassettes, like whether it was Disney movies or things like that. And I came across this one that was just labeled Packers Super Bowl, beating the Patriots, and the score and everything written in permanent marker. And
That's
I would pop it in, and it was like, the VHS, like you recorded the game and everything was there, like the halftime show, the commercials, all of it. And I remember every time I would go over to my Grandma Hessel's house, I would always watch the Packers play the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Like, so I knew, I don't know, Desmond Howard and Reggie White, Brett Favre, all the great things that happened in that game too. And just being able to, I don't know, soak all that in. So that's where my Packers like fandom began, I would say.
how old were you when that happened?
I'd probably have to say like 6, probably 5 or 6.
That's awesome.
So like, yeah, 2000, 2001.
Shout out to grandma. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not letting history die off. She's like, no, you're gonna watch this. If you don't need to watch Winnie the Pooh, you watching the Packers win a Super Bowl, baby. This is something Viking fans can't do.
They have nothing to show their kids on VHS. They
Dude.
can't show it.
Viking fans, little, wobbling around, whatever, grandma's house, looking at VHS tapes, watching 4 tapes of the Vikings lose the Super Bowl. And they're like, that's all we got for you, Sonny.
Yeah.
Watching these L's. Could have been a, what are they called when you win a lot of games?
A dynasty.
Dynasty. See, I screwed it up. That'd have been a good. I was on a roll too.
It's all good, man.
Anyways, but yeah, it could have been a dynasty. I'll edit it. No, I won't. I'm lazy. I'm lazy. I don't edit. But so like, as a youngster, like when you started to like really get into football, so like, were you into football? Like, how old were you? Like when you really got into it, where like you really cared and like maybe even shed a tear every now and again with it, if they lost.
Gosh, I would say right around that time because we started. Now I probably would. A lot's changed since then, but we started tackle football like 6 years old, like helmets,
All
pads,
right.
everything.
Yeah, they didn't care about CTE back then.
I was gonna say, man, yeah,
Even now,
like
'cause,
football.
like,
What was that?
my son, they're in their 20s now, but like my younger son, I remember taking him to flag football,
Mhm.
and there was like, he didn't know what he was doing or whatever, but there was like a little kid running back. Like the kid had to have been like the shortest kid in the team. He was like, he was a slow grower. And this big human just jumped on the other side. This big, huge kid picked him up and just threw him on the ground. And like his mom was like, "Oh my God." And she was screaming because it was flag football. This is not tackle. Even if it was tackle, that's a penalty. This kid threw him. It was like Ray Nitschke. He just threw him down. And the kid bounced up. He was all right. But I don't know where I was going with that. But I did. That's whenever someone talks about like young kids playing football, I remember thinking, I was like, well, I'm glad that's not my kid, because my kid was just like an inch taller than him. He was pretty small too, but he got spiked. Anyways, I forgot the question.
Well, I think you were talking about how when I got into football and everything like that.
Oh yeah. Football. See, that's why I like you. You're all right. You remember stuff.
But I would say like Yeah, I was probably around that time, 5 or 6 years old, and I think, like, my first Packers jersey that I owned was a Javon Walker jersey that I
Oh,
got at, Packers training camp one year, and, but I didn't go to my first game until I was in college. I went and saw Packers Vikings. So, but I've seen a lot of Packers heartbreak over the years. Like, I think my first, Packers, like, heartbreak memory was against the Eagles, like, 4th and 26.
26.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my first Packers heartbreak, and, like, I remember, like, storming off to my room like, "What is life even like?"
Dude, that was
Packers.
brutal. 4th and 26.
Yeah.
People talk about like the heartbreaks. You're talking about 2014, which is probably one of the more brutal games I've ever watched, as far as like my team just sucking and just giving a game away. But 4th and 26. Like
Mhm.
I even hear that in like
Yeah,
other.
I'm sorry I brought it up, but
I'm watching college. It's 4th and 26. They're punting. I don't even care. Ah, I don't
Mhm,
want to hear about it. And like even like if it's like 4:26,
mhm.
I can't. I don't like it. Like what time is it? 4:20. Ah, I don't. 4th and 26. I think to me is maybe because I was young. I wasn't that as young as you. Because that's what's so crazy. Like how young you are. You're talking about Javon Walker jersey was your first jersey. I have a picture of my son in a Javon Walker jersey, my younger boy.
Yeah,
Uh, at some, it's one of my favorite pictures. But yeah, like you're young.
yeah.
It's crazy. And you're
Yeah.
you're teaching the youth. You're
Mhm.
barely older than my kids. I'm not saying like you're young. I'm just old. Anyways, so 4th and 26 is one of your brutal games. So for you, what is the most brutal loss that you've ever saw? Not even in person, but just like on TV. Like to you, what is that one game that makes you? If someone talks about it, makes you want to not talk to them no more.
Yeah, dang. I would say 2014. I would say
Yeah,
I remember watching that game and be like, "We got this." And
dude.
then everything just kind of falling into place. I remember exactly where I was. I was eating barbecue wings, and it wasn't a Buffalo Wild Wings, but it was like a um, establishment in Hayward, and I was watching that alone, and just going through that alone was hard.
Yeah,
I was just like, I got nobody to talk to about this. I just have to sit in sadness and then drive the 20 minutes it took to get home, radio off, and just feel my
it,
feelings.
it's brutal, dude. Like when your team loses in such a horrific way. I mean,
Mhm,
Bears fans, I don't know how they do it. Happens to them all the time. Viking fans, every 10 years they got a good team.
mhm.
Nothing in between, but they got a good team every 10 years. But they end up, even when the Vikings win a playoff game, they call it a miracle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like imagine being them. But like I feel like they don't know what it's like to be us either, right? Because
Mhm.
Vikings have 0 Super Bowls. The Lions have 0 Super Bowls. They won a playoff game and I think they might have had a parade. You know what I mean? Like they were like anointed.
Yeah.
Um the Bears got one. But like Packer fans, I feel like that we don't get the credit we deserve for what we've been through because we do have good enough teams to win the whole thing, or at least to get to the Super Bowl a few times, and just hasn't happened. I think that's more brutal than your lucky team getting into the playoffs and then choking it away like everyone knew they would. Like when the Vikings lost, or like when they won that miracle at whatever, and then they lost the next week by like 30 points. No one was shocked. Everyone was like, yeah, that sounds about right. They got lucky. They barely won the last game. But I feel like Packer fans don't get the credit they deserve for the misery we've been through, because like 2007, before Aaron Rodgers took his spot, NFC Championship game against the Giants, it
Oh,
was
man.
cold. Everyone was freezing. Their faces were freezing off.
Tom
Should have won
Coughlin,
that
check
game.
on him.
Dude, I did cough. And it's funny because that Giants team is one of the only teams that beat the Packers in like a horrendous way. When I don't hate everyone. Like I didn't hate Eli Manning after that. I didn't hate Coughlin. No, it wasn't Eli Manning. No, Eli Manning was after that. Who was the quarterback for that game? I don't forget.
Was it Tim Collins?
It might have been. I forget. My memory ain't
Oh
that good.
07. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But Eli Manning didn't come to like 2010 or whatever it was. Yeah, that's how old it is. Is like, remember when Brett Favre was in his older years, and every quarterback he played, they were like, all right, this is the young Eli Manning or Derek or David Carr or whatever against the old man. It was like 5 years of Favre just being old.
Now it's
And not,
Rodgers' turn.
yeah. And it's like, yeah, because Rodgers kind of says those same stories. Roethlisberger kind of told those same stories. All the older quarterbacks, Brady, like these guys are coming in, and like if you played it long enough, like Brady, even Favre, like some of these guys watch you as a child, and now they're on your team,
Yeah.
and like that, and then that's what I always think is funny is like when especially with Favre, where they're like, well, Favre, even like Rodgers a little bit, we're like, he doesn't hang around the young guys. Well, why would he?
Right.
I mean,
nothing
obviously,
in common.
at work they're gonna do their thing. They're gonna do like their little hangouts where like it's team building. But like, why would a 40-year-old want to hang out with a 20-year-old?
Right.
Like my kids don't want to hang out with me, and they're related to me, and I pay their phone bill. You know what I mean? And they still don't want to hang out with me. So why would I never got that like argument like, well, he wasn't really hanging out with the young wide receivers. Well, yeah, because they're 20 and they're in clubs and gaming. You think Rodgers knows anything about like
hopping on his
Fortnite?
Twitch stream or something?
I seen Matthew Golden, Packers rookie. He's over on TikTok live streaming. He's gaming a little bit. So what do you think about this rookie? Matthew Golden, not even him, but just this rookie class, because we were together on draft night.
Yeah,
me and you.
That was pretty special, man. Bit. Yeah,
we just happened to like run into each other too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was so cool. I was like, oh, you're that teacher guy.
Mm-hmm. Over at Stadium View, I was like, I just got a Kringle from Uncle Mike's, and I was walking. I was like, oh, hey, there's Matt, and yeah, just hang out with you guys.
I hang out at Stadium View. I do like Stadium View. Stadium View for the draft was so good.
Yeah.
What they have like 16 bands in 3 days. Stadium View lit it up. Stadium View, I mean, I'm sure right. Other places did good, but like Stadium View, dude, for the draft, like I don't know, like if they had a meeting afterwards, like how we do, but they did fantastic. They should have had me in that meeting because I was at Stadium View a lot, watched a lot of great bands. We had family, hung out. I was on WIXX. That was like the biggest moment. Being in WIXX, because I listened to WIXX since I was a kid. Even being like on WBAY, hanging out with them, I got to interview with them, and like those are two like were like as a kid, like I listened to WIXX. Obviously, it's different people. They're all youngsters now. You know, they're all younger than me. So it wasn't them, but like WBAY, some of it was them.
Yeah.
No, none of them who are there now, but like I think I just missed that wave. But that's what's cool though, like being on that stuff, because you listen to them, you watch them, and like I never thought like, yeah, I'll be on the radio someday. Not that like it was funny because as I was doing it, because I was like, no one's gonna hear this anyways. Who listens to the radio anymore? But like the whole time I was talking to them, like on that stage, my phone's just vibrating. That and I was like, you know, I didn't obviously look at it, but like afterward, and people were like, oh, I just heard you on the radio. I'm like, I mean, shout out to WIXX. I ain't talking, you know, bad, but like everyone's like on, you know, satellite radio Sirius, or they're listening to Apple Music or Spotify. There's so many options. So I didn't really think people, I mean, I don't listen to the radio too often. I ain't gonna lie to you because I have options, but I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, the draft is cool. That's kind of like where we started talking a little bit, but yeah. So back to the question. I'm a very bad podcaster.
You're all good, man. You're doing great.
What are you thinking about this this draft class? That was just the longest question. Even Pat McAfee would be shocked.
You found a way to work it back though.
Yeah, you know, I brought it back, baby.
Yes. I think what was so special about it was, I mean, in Green Bay and everything, and then you take a wide receiver when you haven't done that in 20 something years, like that's pretty special. And just to hear the crowd just go nuts when Mark Murphy announced the Packers were taking a wide receiver was truly something like part of Packers history that I think be able to look back on and say, I was there that draft night when it was in Green Bay. Like that was the whole reason why I wanted to go, because I was like, when is it going to be back in Green Bay? I'm not sure, but I want to be there for this if it's the one time during my lifetime that it's there and be a part of history. So I was super excited with that draft pick and excited to see what he can do within the Packers offense. Um, I would say, yeah, them. I mean, taking. I was surprised that Jair didn't get traded during the draft at some point, but I mean, I kind of figured that this would have been like his offseason to eventually cut ties with the Packers and however they ended up going about that. But I was I like what they did with Savion Williams, drafting him in the third round. I think he could be a guy where I don't know where you have right now with Christian Watson out. He's a guy that you could probably do a lot of those end arounds with rather than having Jaden Reed do that. I don't know. Seeing Jaden Reed do that, I know how valuable he is for the offense and everything. And then just some of the hits he was taking last year, you could tell that some of those were starting to accumulate. So I don't know. I'm excited for the Packers offense this year, and I think it's going to be a fun group of guys to watch. I'm excited to see. Hopefully, Marshawn Lloyd can stay healthy and get on the field and see what he's able to do. I mean, it's going to be different not having AJ Dillon around, especially like during training camp, because he was always just, I mean, the mayor of Door County, big fan favorite and everything like that. So not seeing him at training camp for the first time in a while is going to be different. I will say that, but yeah, excited about this team for sure.
Yeah, I feel like this Packers offense, I'm jacked about it because Jordan Love, first of all, he gets a lot of like slander a little bit, and people like kind of like when they talk about Jordan Love, they kind of feel like they have the whole story.
Mhm.
Right. And it's like you don't. It's like judging, because since you're a teacher, I'll use this analogy. It's like judging a person off their first, like they're in fifth grade and you're judging their life.
Mhm.
Right. I feel like I'm pretty good at analogies, but like
That's
I
a
feel
good
like
one.
that's
Yeah.
what they're doing with Jordan Love, because he hasn't played that much. And then last year, yeah, that last year was a big year, but like he was hurt. He got
Right.
hurt in the first game. He came back and he got hurt again because he was playing injured. And that's the thing that I feel like Jair Alexander got slandered because he wouldn't play because he's hurt, and a lot of people thought the team thought he should play. I don't know the details in the locker room because they don't let me in there. You know what I mean? I asked,
Yeah.
but
It
but
was
like,
worth
we
a
don't
shot.
know.
Yeah.
But we don't know. But like Jordan Love did, he played hurt. He's like,
Mhm.
let me get back as soon as I can. I'm good to go. And when it comes to quarterback, they're gonna let their quarterback. I mean, unless it's like the doctor's like, no, that he's literally got a big injury here. But like if they're like, all right, he can play through this thing, and he did, and then he didn't play as good as some people thought, but he still played a lot better than a lot of other quarterbacks. So I feel like this year, hopefully, knock on wood. I don't know if I have any around here.
I got some for you.
I got some wood over here. I meant the wall, but so like I feel like Jordan Love, Tucker Kraft, I think is in a ball. I think Tucker Kraft will have over 10 touchdowns. But you know me, I'm a most biased Packer fan of all time. I'm like, Tucker Kraft's gonna have 10, Musgrave will have 6, Reed will have 14. Just rattling off. Next thing you know, you start adding those up, and you're like, all right, Jordan Love will have 76 touchdowns this year.
I'd be
But,
interested how you draft your fantasy football team. Are you all Packers? Just
No, I actually have a dynasty fantasy league, which is like you
yeah.
keep the players.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. That's why I didn't mean to act like you didn't know, but like I didn't know that when I joined the league, I didn't know it was a dynasty league.
Yeah.
And then I would have drafted differently. You know what I mean? But I do have Tucker Kraft as my fantasy tight end.
Nice.
Every time I say that, it sounds weird when you say that. That's
Mhm.
my fantasy tight end over there. You know what I mean? But I have I had Aaron. I think I still have Aaron Jones. I was gonna trade him, not because I love Aaron Jones,
Mhm.
but just like on my fantasy team, I don't like having players from teams I hate. I don't like
Yeah,
having
because it's hard to
Bears
root for them to
players.
succeed.
Yeah, and I want Aaron Jones to succeed, just not in the win loss column. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Aaron Jones. But so let me ask this. 'Cause I don't want to keep it too long. We're already at like an hour over here. But who is your, let's say, your favorite Packer player on this team right now? Who's your favorite on this team right now?
Oh, I would have to say either Tucker Kraft or Evan Williams. Evan Williams is a lot of fun to
Evan
watch.
Williams,
Mhm.
so good. He's got good hair too.
Yeah.
I like his hair.
I don't have that. I'll show you right now, man.
No, show me.
I
Let me
u
see.
I usually
Dude.
keep it pretty covered up with a hat, when I'm not teaching, so.
Dude, look at this thing. Look what I got working with me. Just a bunch
You got
of
some
gray.
salt and pepper there, man. Yeah.
Dude, no, I ain't much pepper. It's all salt. But
We're ball
yeah,
cap guys. It's who we are.
yeah, that's why you keep the hat on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So all time. That means from the beginning of time.
Mhm.
Beginning of the Green Bay Packers ever existing. Going back to the Acme Packers. Who is your favorite Packer of all time?
Donald Driver, without a doubt.
Donald. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Driver. Have you ever met him?
I haven't. I saw him from a distance at the draft, so I don't think that counts, but,
Dude, you know what's funny? People ask me, I was at this Quick Trip thing one time when we were jumping. I don't know if you ever saw it, if you followed me then, but we jumped off this dock.
okay.
We'd like built this bus. Well, I didn't build it.
I was gonna say,
I was there after the
set
fact.
designer. Let's go, man.
And then it was like what's that drink with the energy drink we drink with Jaeger? Red Bull.
Red Bull, yeah.
That's how I know. We drink it with Jaeger. But it was a Red Bull thing, and they built this like semi it was.
Mhm.
And they pushed it. Sandra, Quick Trip girl, shout out to her. She was on the top of this thing. I was just pushing it. But anyways, I saw Donald Driver. He was like one of the voters, whatever, the judges.
Oh,
He's one of the
okay.
judges. And I was like, oh, I want to meet Donald Driver. Everyone's like, Donald Driver's like 10 feet away, but he's like 14 people away.
Mhm.
Because everyone just like crowded in and they're all like, oh, Donald Driver. So I was like, I'm not going to run up on this man. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Try to like squeeze through. But I was like, oh, I'm so close to Donald Driver, but I didn't meet him. But Donald Driver's the nicest dude. You've never heard anyone say anything bad about Donald Driver. He's the absolute best. If he's your favorite player, like you're doing all right. My favorite player of all time is Paul Hornung.
Yeah.
Just because I like his story. When I was a kid, I used to love the number 5. Like, there's no real reason for it. He was like, I hear all these stories about him partying and like going on. And like before Vince Lombardi came there, he was like, I'll just leave. I'll just go sell insurance. I'll just go live my life because he didn't want to lose. And, football wasn't what it is today. And
Yeah.
then Vince Lombardi came there and then he became, obviously became a legend. But I love Paul Hornung and all the stories. I wish I would have met him because I was, I'm old enough where I could have met him, but I just didn't. He was out there, but I wasn't out there meeting him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And now that's one of the things that I'll never forgive myself for, not searching out the bars for Paul Hornung.
Just every place you go to, just peeking around the bar. Where's Paul?
He ain't at this bar. So who was you ever meet like some cool players? Who was one of the coolest players, if you ever met any, that you've ever met?
Devontae Adams. So during my first Packers game, it was Packers Vikings, like Christmas Eve. I went there with my brother, and this was back when like the players' parking lot, you could still see like all the players and everything.
You could stalk them.
Yeah, for sure. No, it wasn't that. I was
no,
just
you were stalking him. It's fine. Devontae doesn't mind.
I had his jersey, and I was just like, it would be really cool if I could get his autograph. And I was talking with my brother and then Aaron Ripkowski. Do you remember Aaron Ripkowski?
Yeah.
His college roommate was standing next to us. He's like, well, I'm going to see if I can get Aaron over here, and we'll talk and everything like that. And so Aaron was already over there, and this was still pretty early on in Devontae Adams' career. And then Devontae came over, and he signed the back of my jersey. And so I have that framed now. And I was like, nothing is going to beat this first Packers game experience for me. Like getting Devontae Adams to sign his jersey after the Packers beat the Vikings. Like, that's it.
What can possibly beat that?
I don't know.
Dude,
I'd be interested to find out, but
I can't beat it. I can't beat that story, but like I made a video one time. I do the eye joke thing, and I remember way back in the day, Devontae Adams. This is when he's coming up, not coming up early, but like this is when he's like, everyone's like, all right, he's that dude. Like he is. top two,
Established self.
top three wide receiver in the league. So I made a video where I crossed my eyes. I'm like, everyone's saying Devonta Adams is top 5. I was like, I think he's top 2, but hell, I don't see very good. It was like a stupid video, and I posted on Instagram, and I tagged him in my story. I put in my story. I tagged Devonta Adams, and he actually DM'd me, and he was like, "That's hilarious." He said, "That's funny." I still have it, so anyone doesn't believe me that Devonta Adams said I'm funny.
Yes.
And then later on in life, I was a celebrity softball umpire, and he yelled at me.
So you got both sides of it.
Yeah. And actually, no, but like I actually DM'd him after that softball thing because him and Rogers were coming at me because I screwed up. So like, that was on me. And they're competitive fellas. But I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I felt like a piece of crap. And he was like, no, it's all in fun. I'm like, oh yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah.
No, it was
Now that we know that it's cool. Yeah.
yeah. It was cool because who could say that? I had Devonta Adams and Aaron Rodgers in their prime yelling at me.
Mm-hmm.
Who could say that? Not many.
Not many.
I don't think anyone, probably.
Yeah.
Who gets yelled at by Aaron Rodgers and Devonta Adams at the same time? First of all, Devonta Adams seems very chill, and Aaron Rodgers does too. Like I ain't got no hate for either of them. But Aaron Rodgers, I've seen him yell at people, like receivers. He's a captain. He's ordering people around. I've seen him get upset. I've never seen Devonta get upset. I mean, until he went to Las Vegas.
I was gonna say, yeah. Then you watch the receiver documentary, and you're like, I get it. Yeah.
No, I all love the Devonta Adams and Aaron Rodgers, but yeah, there we go. I don't know if I have anything else.
Yeah.
Packers. Do you have a Packers prediction for this season?
I'm gonna say, I think they'll go 12-5
and win the Super Bowl.
One can hope. Yeah,
I think, dude, my pick is for the Packers to win the Super Bowl, and it's not just a biased pick, which it is because I am biased, but I feel like look at Aaron Rodgers first start 2008, 2010, 11 season win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Love first start, 2000 was at 22, no 23. 23 was his first year, 24 last year, 25 winning the thing.
Fulfill the prophecy.
Yeah. And the same thing with like Patrick Mahomes. I think he might have wanted his first year. But I think he might have wanted his first year. So Patrick Mahomes doesn't count. But like
he's
a lot
his
of
own category.
Because like I feel like when they bring in that new franchise quarterback,
mm-hmm.
they try to build around him really fast because first of all they have him on usually the Packers didn't, but usually you have him on that rookie contract.
Right.
So you're trying to build the team around them. Everyone's excited. All right, we got this new team. We got this new thing. Yeah. And then they go and win the thing. So I feel like the Packers are definitely going to be in contention this year. They're going to be tough. The Eagles are going to be a tough team in the NFC. NFC North can be tough, but I don't think it's going to be as tough as people think.
Yeah.
People talking about like the Vikings, they ain't got a quarterback. Bears are the Bears. I don't care. Dude, I see people talking about Caleb Williams being better than Jordan Love. And I struggle with this because I don't ever I don't trash players.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll laugh, they throw an interception or whatever, but I'm not like out here like, oh, Caleb Williams ain't nothing. Well, like obviously he's talented, he's in the NFL, but to say he's better than Jordan Love, which I see on Twitter, people it's like, dude, if you think Caleb Williams is better than Jordan Love, then you should not be speaking about football.
Yeah.
That's like me saying like Jordan Love is better than Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's different because he didn't win a Super Bowl. But you know what I mean? Like there's certain people that are just on that thing. And Caleb Williams, we'll see what he does this year. I think he has a talent. I just don't believe in the team.
Right.
I don't believe that they're equipped to even coach a quarterback. And being in Chicago, I think it's already harder because they have everything. Like people talk about, Bears fans and all the fibs. They talk about, in Green Bay, they ain't got nothing to do. Well, maybe that's why your team sucks. There's too much to do. Your quarterbacks can't focus. They're on nightclubs. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is hanging on nightclubs, but like everywhere you go, like I see so many videos, Caleb Williams yelling, Green Bay sucks. Well, at least 2 for sure. Last offseason, this offseason. I think there's another one in the middle there somewhere. But you don't ever see anyone else doing that. Jordan Love is not going to be yelling. You're not going to see a video of him calling people fibs.
No.
Or like saying the Bears suck. Like Aaron Rodgers did it, but after how many years of, he didn't tell a lie. He didn't tell a lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with their new offensive coordinator and their new head coach and Ben Johnson. But it's like the Bears are going to find a way to Bears. Like they're going
That's what
to,
they do.
yeah. It's like an organizational like trickle down effect where they're just going to find a way to lose in the craziest way by a finger
Dude,
or whatever it is,
just the
man.
tip, baby.
Yeah, they'll find a way to lose, and I think the Lions too, with all the changes that they had with their coaching staff,
Yeah,
I think they're
offense
going to
and
be
defense coordinator.
yeah, they're going to try to find their identity. So I mean, playing them, that's our first game of the year, right? Going against the
Yeah,
Lions, and so
Packers will win by 14.
I'm hoping, yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
so
just say stuff.
yes, put it out there early, man. I like it.
Dude, so like who is your like least favorite rival? Bears or Vikings? Because I'll say this. It's either Bears or the Vikings. No one ever says the Lions.
Mhm.
That's why when Lion fans come at me, and I like Lion fans. I get along with them. I know a couple. And people Lion fans used to always say, why don't you ever make fun of us? Because you don't matter. That's
This is just a flash in a pan. That's all you
it's
guys are
just
right
true.
now.
It's like the
Yeah.
Lions. I've never hated the Lions because like it's always like, if you're like the best basketball player in the playground, you can't pick on the worst basketball player in the playground. That's how I feel like the NFC North is.
Mhm.
Packers are always on top, Lions are always on bottom. You can't make fun of them. You gotta make fun of the Bears.
Right.
But like, who do you hate? I won't say hate, but like football type
Mhm.
of not like.
Yeah, I would say all right, I would say the Vikings because the principal at the school where I teach is a Vikings fan. And so we have this bet that this is why I had to wear a Randy Moss jersey last year because the Vikings beat the Packers. And so I had to wear a Randy Moss jersey to school, which he graciously provided for me. That was waiting on my desk when I got to school. That was like, man, that was a long day. That was a long Monday for sure.
I feel like your answer is the Vikings, and that probably sucked that you lost that bet. But I think it's more about your wife.
Mhm.
You like. I'm not gonna say anymore. Like, get you in trouble. You just want the Packers to beat your wife's team.
Yes, yes. That
I'm
would
putting it
be
out. Dude, but that's pretty gutsy to put a bet out there to have to wear a Randy Moss jersey. I love Randy Moss, by the way. I think he's fantastic.
mhm.
Not even more off the field than on the field. First of all, on the field, I didn't like him most of his
I was
career
gonna
because
say
he played for the Vikings.
yeah, but like,
But
yeah,
when he played for the Patriots, I was all about it. Like I love Randy Moss. I think his story's cool. I watched the documentary he's got.
mhm,
Growing up in I forget, it was a long time ago since I watched that, but Randy Moss' story wasn't easy for him to get to where he was and end up being one of the best. He says he is the best. Do you think he's the best wide receiver all time? Who do you Reggie Jerry Rice
I
or
think
Randy Moss or
I
just
mean
someone else?
they showed the stat comparison between uh Randy Moss and Jerry Rice, and Jerry Rice had
Dude,
significantly
he blew
better
away.
numbers. Yeah. So I'm saying as a stats guy, I'm going with Jerry Rice, but as like I didn't grow up watching Jerry Rice, it was Randy Moss. So I'd say for that particular era, Randy Moss, but all time, I would have to say Jerry Rice still.
Yeah, Jerry Rice was the man, but I will say he's known to fumble every now and again.
Mhm.
You might not get that reference, but older folks will. He fumbled. There was a particular playoff game. Packers lost. Terrell Owens had to shine that game, but Jerry Rice fumbled the ball.
So that
And
was
then
like,
that would have ended it.
was that like the Des caught it of that era?
Yeah, it was. It was because
Okay.
remember that Owens. I mean, you don't remember, but you ever see the clip? Owens when he got hit as he caught the ball, but he was dropping the ball that whole game. Jerry Rice, that same game, I think that was the same game. I'm almost positive it is. If I'm wrong, no one's listening. We've been at an hour and 14, but I believe that was the same game where Jerry Rice fumbled the ball. I know for sure he fumbled in a playoff game. It was a very important game.
Mhm.
I believe it was the same game though. I always doubt myself because when you're on a podcast or like on the internet,
Mhm.
if you're wrong, they're gonna kill you.
Right.
So I'm always like, is this true? I never trust myself.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive that was the same game, but yeah, Jerry Rice fumbled the ball in a big situation. It was no instant replay. They said it wasn't a fumble. But all love to Jerry Rice. I don't think anyone will ever touch Jerry Rice. I
No.
mean, if you go way back, I think Paul Horning, or Don Hudson actually, he was doing his thing. But Jerry Rice deserves that number one spot, especially like playing in. He played in like I feel like a few different eras.
Yeah.
Because like when they had rules, but they didn't have rules. You could touch a guy going down the field, you could distract him. He wasn't the fastest guy, but he got open all the time. And Jerry Rice, and he did it with bad quarterback. Obviously, he did it with two great quarterbacks that everyone talks about. But he went to the Raiders. He was still doing it. Like he, I mean, maybe not quite at that same level because no one does for the Raiders.
Right.
But I feel like he's the only one that kind of did.
Yeah.
He kind of served them good. But yeah, I think it's Jerry Rice for number one spot. But anyways, I love the Randy Moss. We're over here rambling. But yeah, so there we go. That was the Northern Nerd. Everyone should be checking out the Northern Nerd. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. Are you on TikTok?
Yes, I don't post on there as much. I would say Instagram and Facebook.
I'm gonna need to see you do a dance over there on TikTok.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I would only while I'm mowing the lawn. That's it. It's the only time I dance.
I'm on TikTok. I don't dance. I did one dance. It was that remember that Drake song, Keisha, if you love me and you whatever. And there was like this where everyone was jumping out of their cars. Dancing, remember that? They were like jumping out of their cars. Sometimes the cars would drive away. Some people were just getting run over by their cars. Yeah, I did that, but I wasn't gonna do that with.
That's called ghost riding.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I have a lease. You know what I mean? I ain't messing with that. No, but I do one in my living room. I did this like this little joke where I was dancing around like how I know how to dance, and then I fell down, and then like I walk up to the camera on my hands and knees. And I look at the camera. I said, "Oh Lord, I just broke my eyes," and my eyes roll across. That was the only dancing video I ever did on TikTok.
Okay.
And I think they might have banned me for that for a little bit. They're like, "You can't do that." But so there you go. So find them on your two major ones are Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, I would say those are my two major ones. Yeah.
And so check them out. And you got a link tree. You got a lot of stuff going over there. I was scooping it out earlier. So everyone be sure to check him out. He has a podcast, so he posts to every now and again when he feels frisky.
Yeah.
But
post a podcast, yeah.
Feeling frisky, baby. No, but I appreciate it. Big shout out to you. And for being a teacher, I feel like teachers need some thank yous every now and again because I feel like it's not a rewarding in every type of way, like when people see it. But I feel like teachers are important because big shout out to Mr. Doucette, my 6th grade teacher. I was an ED. Do you have it? Is ED still a thing today?
Mm-hmm.
I think emotionally disturbed. We used to always talk about it in class because they were like, it was emotionally disturbed. I'm like, what's that mean? Because like now as an adult, I think about it even more. Like, what's that mean? That means it's like people are there just freaking out. Ah! You know what I mean? But like, it was mostly just like the troubled kids who got, not everyone was like troubled. Some of them just couldn't shut up. And I couldn't shut up, and now I have a podcast. So maybe that's all I needed back then.
They're like, give this man a microphone and a studio and just let him go.
This kid won't shut up. Give him a mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I think I think teachers. I've had a lot of teachers who did me good, and like even like some lessons, like even as an adult. I had one teacher. His name is Mr. Winsky. He's at Green Bay East High School. He was the baseball coach. He married Miss Johnson. She became Mrs. Winsky, obviously. But I remember like her class, like if you talked and like got kind of like rambunctious and got a little too much, he'd come see you. He'd be like, "Yo, that's my wife."
You'd get a visit from Batman.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be like go to the principal. Her husband would show up because we respected him. Not that we didn't respect her, but we didn't really know her as much because we knew him from the younger grades. So like, you
get a tap on the shoulder at the movie theater. It's Mr. Winsky. Just
I remember like he was just drawing up like baseball stuff. He was like setting his lineup during class. He didn't care what we were doing. Just shut up.
I'm trying to
Who
figure out
should I have on third?
Right. trying to figure out this lineup here.
Yeah, he was a great teacher. She was too. Anyways, we're gonna wrap this thing up. My Midwest goodbyes go forever.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Matt. It
Yeah.
was great meeting you at the draft, and we'll probably see you at training camp this year.
Yeah, you're gonna be at training camp.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be there. So that's the goal.
I got some microphones. I'm all ready for training camp. I'm gonna interview some folks and talk about this Packers season.
Sweet.
But we are out of here. The Northern Nerd. Be sure to check him out on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, unfollow me. Follow the Northern Nerd. He's the man, or just follow us both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that works too.
We're gonna wrap this thing up. Go Pack, go, and let's go win a Super Bowl this year, huh?
Let's do it. Why not?
Why not?
All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Green Bay faithful, talking with me on a chase to a Super Bowl. Bears still suck, let me let you know. We're the kings, bringing trophies home.